Welcome to another episode. Episode 5.
Yep.
Now it is, of Codependent. Thank you for joining once again. I'm your host, Mac, and I'm joined, as always, by my wife and co-host, Alli.
Oh, I get to be your wife in this episode?
Yeah,
That's nice.
Use your honorific, your formal title. It's been another month since the last episode, so nice little period. We've been up to some new things, getting up to trouble. I don't know, watching stuff, playing stuff as we do. So wanted to kind of get in, check in again. We're about to go on a nice holiday next week. So
it's gonna be the longest week ever.
Felt like this was the right time to get and have a chat, and it is absolutely in that stage where
it's like senioritis.
Yeah, exactly. Where I was telling you last week, you kind of get to that point where it's like, okay, you're so close to going on a trip that it's like, well, you still have things to do. There's still stuff to kind of get done or prepare, but it's like your mind's gone, right? Like you're ready.
Well, and also I am a very big planner person, so I've already been prepping the team because I'm the manager, so I've been prepping the team for
big wig
what they're gonna be in charge of, and I'm already kind of handing things over because our projects take longer than a day or something. So I've basically handed over a lot of what's going to be worked on and stuff. So now I'm just kind of wrapping things up, and it's just I'm just ready.
Yeah, I feel like I have one final thing that I really need to get done.
Yeah.
One final project thing to finally get done before the end of next week or this week upcoming. And then it's okay, then I'm done.
Yeah.
That being said, that thing is a pain in the ass, and it's been all over the place, so I'm not looking forward to it. But it's kind of the last thing, and then I feel like it's...
Then you're just coasting.
Then it's okay, cool. But that's going to be throughout this week. But it's also, being in Europe, it also kind of feels like when you go on holiday in the summer, it's not that big of a deal. Because it's kind of nobody's going to be doing that much shit anyways.
And or everybody's doing stuff, but it's expected to kind of be a little off.
Yeah, because I've been chatting with the team, and it's okay, I go on holiday... the first 2 weeks of July. And then I think when I get back, it's 2 members of my team are also then gone for 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's then my colleagues are then gone for 2 or 3 weeks in July to August. And then we get back, and then we go on a trip a week in August. And it's okay, nobody on average is going to be working over the summer anyways.
Yeah.
So it's whatever. It's kind of chill. It's very nice at how things just kind of slow down.
Yeah.
But I guess it's the same for you guys, right? Because you're forced to all take holiday in the same period, right?
Yeah, but then people are why is your whole team not here? And it's well, you force us off. So
yeah, it's
2 to 3 of us are off at the same time. So I don't know what you expect for things to get done in an efficient and quick manner, but also you're forcing us off. So
yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I don't get, there's a miscommunication, or they don't understand that they're forcing us off, but also expect the whole team to be there. It's well... So,
silly.
Yep.
But where is it that we're going, actually, Alli? I don't think. Have I dropped that already in this intro?
No, you're super bearing the lead.
I'm bearing the lead. Where are we going?
To Thailand.
To Thailand.
I hope you knew that.
Well, yeah, well, that was for the listener. I was pretending to be the listener.
The
I was being the listener, Thank you very much for ruining that. How are you feeling about the fact that we're going to Thailand, and people have told us many times as we've been telling them they're going to Thailand in July, they've asked us questioningly, isn't that the rainy season? And we've said, well, based on our internet searches, seems like the beginning of July should be okay.
Yeah.
Does it look okay?
No, it doesn't. But, I think it's going to be... just beyond the, because weather is so uncontrollable. It's you could literally go to Japan in the peak season and it could be shit. It just depends on it's out of your control. So I'm not really so much worried about the weather, and I'm not really worried about the language part, but I am very kind of nervous because it's the first time we're going somewhere that's so different from any language and stuff. And then it also is somewhere, because when we went to Japan, for me it was super different. But you kind of already knew the customs and a little bit of the language, and could kind of get us around. Whereas this one is so new to us. So I'm just very I'm excited, but I'm just wow, what's gonna happen?
Yeah,
but
same. I'm super excited.
I think weather-wise, It is what it is. We're gonna have fun regardless.
Yeah, we'll see. I did look at it today because I've been trying to keep up on it, and I will say, like, so far, in typical like Google forecast fashion, it's like you look at it for days ahead. And it's like, yeah, every day is just absolute dog shit.
Yeah,
it's
like thunderstorms and 100% humidity.
Yeah, they just assume the weather will be shit, and then every time I click on it and I see what actual day is currently ongoing, it's like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be that like we get there and it's like, okay, the next 3 days all could be shit.
Yeah.
But maybe by the time you actually get to that day, it's like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
But
so I'm just not going to look ahead and worry.
No, it's not going to help.
We booked the trip. We're going. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll just have to figure it out.
I will say though, I did look and it did say today that it is 32 degrees. It is, I think, 90% humidity, and it feels like 38. So
I'm
we'll
like 95% sure I'm gonna bring Mac back in a bucket. Like he's just gonna melt into oblivion.
Be liquefied 100%. Yeah. My hair will not be down for a single minute. I think of this entire trip. Mac's
gonna come back with a shaved head.
Honestly, I might. I'm gonna have somebody on the streets of Bangkok cut my hair off with a fishing
hatchet.
Knife. Yeah, with a hatchet. Exactly. Give me a nice edge up.
Yeah.
Line up. Yeah, I don't think
edge
I want anybody to.
Yeah, I don't think you want
edge me. In a Bangkok alleyway, though
you could find it.
Though I think I could find it.
Of all places,
I think it's the place I could probably find it the easiest, actually, of anywhere we've traveled. So
they're
actually,
like, oh yeah, that's that guy right
now that you mentioned it, yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward. It's gonna be be crazy.
It's gonna be different.
Should
it's
be
gonna
fun.
Cool. The food is.
Yeah, I'm just like gonna eat a shitload of food, and I will be back on the sauce. So I haven't been drinking for our listeners for some months now, but I am looking forward to drinking again. Woo! So it's gonna get crazy.
Hopefully we come back from Thailand.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have like 2 beers.
You're gonna be
like,
the guy.
Oh my god, I'm going crazy.
You're gonna be the guy edging.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be like one of those videos. I feel like now that I've been looking at like Thailand tourism, I keep seeing people posting like videos or like articles about like, oh, some drunk tourists getting a brawl and whatever. God. That's gonna be me now.
No.
I'm gonna have 3 beers and get in a fight with a tuk-tuk driver. It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. But yeah, looking forward.
We're gonna be playing some new things on the trip, but I guess we can start by talking about maybe some things we've been playing.
Yeah, it's been a while, right? So I feel like since the last time we were talking about what we were up to, I feel like I had just finished like Final Fantasy. I think I was just starting Stellar Blade. I've now finished Stellar Blade. I feel like I don't have so much new to add to it compared to what I talked about last time. Yeah. Other than I feel like those opinions like just got more and like stronger. I think so. Like the music was great at the time. Continued to be amazing. I have the soundtrack now on Apple Music that every now and then I was like, I want to chill, like feel relaxed. I'm gonna listen to the music that played at the camp. That was so good.
God, that music.
That was constantly playing on loop while I was paused while we would be doing something. So yes, but hey, nice background music, I'll say. And then like the combat kept getting crazier as you kept unlocking more stuff. And then the ending of that game was like totally insane and really badass. Cool. It just like went completely off the rails in a really like good action game type of way where it just like escalates to a point of like, okay, this is like so extreme, ridiculous now, but really good. And apparently it's also been selling really well, which is cool because it's like nice to hear that the studio that's like their first big 3D game
about if it was going to do well or not. Right?
Yeah, exactly. But
especially with all the like cuts or like all the closures of. Wasn't this part of the?
No, thankfully this one was not. Okay. This one was not affected at all by.
No. But I think you were saying in the last time, like you hope it did well because
that's actually the second game that I have to talk about. Oh, that's Hellblade.
Okay.
2 games with the name Blade in it that I played. Yes. Okay. But no, Stellar Blade has also done very well. So I think the studio people said like, oh yeah, they're starting to think now about what a sequel could be like. Okay. Cool. And they also are working on some other game, I guess, as well. So like, okay, that's cool. Good. I'll definitely tune in for what they do next time because it was pretty sweet. Nice. I had a good time. If they add more stuff to it at some point, I'll probably go check it out too. But yeah, definitely recommend it if people like action games.
Hellblade?
And then Hellblade is the other one. Yeah,
so the voices.
That's the one with the voices. That's the one with like the woman who's like got a schizophrenia. I don't actually know what it is that they're sort of simulating that she has. Maybe it's like schizophrenia. But that I also played. That's not a very long game. It's like maybe like 6 hours, maybe 8 maximum. Okay. But that was really good. I was thinking about at the time, we were talking about this last time, I was like, maybe I'll play the first one again so I can remind myself. But I'm glad that I didn't play the first one again right before this, because it is, despite being like, I think 7 years between development from the first game to the second game to make, what is like a 6-hour game, not that long of a game, right? Like, it is more similar than I thought it would be to the first game. Like, doesn't really feel like it necessarily like, oh, they totally expanded on this thing. They made the combat look way different, or they totally changed this other system. It's like, okay, it's basically the same thing as the first game, but it looks like graphically unbelievably advanced.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, like gameplay wise and kind of like what it's aiming for, is like, okay, it's kind of doesn't really feel like it necessarily pushed what they were aiming for in the first game, but it's just like on a more technical level achieved better. Like it is definitely, I think, the most graphically like beautiful, like the best looking, I think, honestly, for games aiming for realism, because you can do all sorts of crazy art styles, but for like realistic games, I think it's actually the best looking game I've ever seen. Like,
well, maybe that's what all the time was spent on.
I mean, honestly, and
all
like,
the resources went there.
Instead. And like great performances, like all the performance captures, and like there were moments where I was watching and I was like, this literally could be this woman who is like, scanned into the game one for one, basically. I was like, this literally could just be like footage, like direct video footage I could be watching of her, because it's so realistic. The lighting, the whatever, her emotions and her like motion cap is crazy. So that was definitely something that stood out. But otherwise, I think I'm glad I didn't play the first one right before, because then I think by the time I got to the end of this one, I would have been like, okay, I basically just almost played this game twice in a row. You know what I mean? Like it would just be kind of like doubled up, playing the same thing twice. That being said, it's on Game Pass, so I think it's worth someone's time, because it did have it was super interesting. I think there were a lot of really crazy moments. There was a lot of like, I don't know, kind of spookiness and interesting things happening, but it wasn't like the most, mind-blowing experience that maybe I was expecting at least it to be a little bit more of like a step up than it was, I guess. Yeah. But I don't know, still interesting. I think. Yeah.
Would you need to have played the first one in order to play the second one?
I don't know. They have like one of these, hey, previously on kind of summaries of the first game, and that was like a good reminder of having played the first game. But I don't think if you had never played it before, I don't think that would like give you honestly so much context.
I was just curious.
That being said, I also think this game can stand alone. Honestly, this game could also just stand alone, because
so you could play it.
So you could, yeah. So I totally take back what I just said. But it's just like, I don't know. Like, you get some advancement out of having played the first game, as far as like her character.
Right.
But this game also kind of starts almost in a place
where you wouldn't
totally separated and telling a different story on its own. Okay. It's just like the kind of character progression of who Senua is and what kind of state she's in that you would not have known why, and they refer back to things that happened in the first game and why she feels this way, etc.
Right.
But it's like, when this game starts, she has a completely different objective than anything that was happening in the first game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah, but I don't know how well this game is doing, to that same topic before. I did hear, though, that they have at least, the studio did like already get greenlit on whatever their next project is. So that's a good sign. So hopefully they can keep doing things, because it's cool. I mean, I like when studios make things that are, let's say, like non-traditional, or like, is this game going to be a big commercial success? I don't know, maybe not, but it is it's pretty cool, and it's different, and I like playing stuff that's like, kind of different. Yeah. What about you? You've been you've still been kind of just working away, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, when you play games, often I'm like drawing on my iPad or knitting, or maybe then I'm playing my game. So like knitting. I'm still.
Are you sure?
It takes so long to do like one row. Anyways,
one row
I'm still working on it.
Per podcast, you have one row in between.
No, I've done like
time.
3 or 4 since the last podcast. Rows. I mean, I'm just still plugging along at Cereza. Like, I feel like it's getting like slightly harder, but I'm like learning new stuff because I think one of my problems is that I play it so few and far between that I forget either that I've learned new skills or I forget to like go get more skills. Like I forget that I can do that. Like I just kind of dig in on like, oh, I can do this one attack with Cheshire, and then I just do that.
Yeah,
you don't. And then I like forget that like, oh, I learned
combos.
This other thing. Yeah, so I'm trying to be better about like both using them and then also growing like the skill tree thing. Okay. But there's not a lot you can do.
Okay.
And it's really hard. Well, again, I'm not playing it consistently, but you have to get these like certain flowers in order to like get the next one at certain skills. So like if you don't have them, then you can't learn the skill anyways. So
yeah.
Yeah. And then we finally finished Portal 2.
We did finish Portal 2.
Which was really fun. I mean, now we're in like a whatever level after
bonus,
whatever, yeah.
I think it's like DLC or something they added later on.
But art room or something.
Yeah, the art, something like that.
Which it wasn't anything to do with that, but
what did you think?
No, I really liked it. I thought it was cool. I still think as far as like puzzly two people games, my favorite will still be Death Squared, but this one I thought was also very good. Yeah. I liked like once we got like there was more stuff added in.
Yeah. Did you feel like it ever I feel like sometimes puzzle games, this one at least it didn't happen, we made it through, it didn't happen for me, but I don't know if you felt like it happened for you where you reach like over a point where the puzzles start to not make, like you don't see it anymore. Like did you ever have that moments in the game? Like where you kind of just can't like see the solution, because there were sometimes we were playing, we were like running around, we're like, oh, what are we supposed to do? And then sometimes one of us might have an epiphany of like, oh, I see it. I get what we're supposed to do.
I mean,
did you ever have any?
It was just the one time where we had to look something up because we didn't see it, but then we were like, oh my god, we were literally doing it. We just didn't. So there was just that one time. Yeah. But with the bouncing of the ball or whatever.
Yeah, that level was kind of fucked up.
Yeah, but other than that, it was. I think I always ended up seeing it, or like just start doing stuff till we figure it out, kind of thing. Yeah.
I feel like puzzle games are such like a big popular genre, and I feel like for me it really depends. There's some that I really really love. I mean, like obviously Portal or a lot of the ones we've played together, like a lot of co-op puzzle games. Mm-hmm. But sometimes puzzle games are not always like my immediate go-to. There's a couple that I've done that like are super renowned and people love, and then I've just kind of like can't get like I think one's called like The Messenger. Okay. It's like I swear it's like one of the most like famous puzzle games that's come out in years. Yeah. It's just almost like you're walking around on an island and it's just like straight up solve puzzles. You go to different places, you learn different things, and then you're just like kind of the whole thing is just straight up running around, walking around, no story thing, solving these puzzles to get through something, right? Yeah. And I've tried that game like twice, and there's a couple others that are like it. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm just too stupid. I don't feel like I'm stupid, but when I play that sometimes like that game or some games like that, it's like it very quickly can make you feel like I must be dumb because I don't know what I'm looking at.
I feel like one time or like sometimes like I would be trying a puzzle and being like, no, this is how you do it, and then you would be like, actually, I think it's this, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, you're right, or like the other way around, where like you would be doing it, and I was like, why are you doing it like this? And you're like, oh yeah, so
because that one's like one that people reference. All the time when they talk about like new games that do puzzle things, like, oh, this one's kind of like The Messenger, or it's not as good as The Messenger, or whatever. I'm like, I tried that game.
All right, well,
I think I have it on Xbox. They gave it away at some point.
Let's try it sometime.
All right, because I remember trying that and I was like, no, I'm too dumb for this or something. I don't know what's going on.
And then
otherwise, I did do a little bit of I've been just kind of trying to like run through things lately, not running through as fast as I can, but I've been trying to kind of like just hit on some older things or kind of playing through a couple different random things because I have been impatiently waiting for the Elden Ring DLC that actually just came out on Friday. Mm-hmm. And so in the meantime, I've just been like, okay, what should I play? Because I don't want to. I'm just like kind of filling my time because what should I play until that comes out? But then now, it came out and then we're going on holiday in a week. So it's like, well, I didn't even download it and install it yet because I'm like, I haven't played Elden Ring in 2 years.
Right.
which is when that game originally came out, which is crazy. It's been so long. And now the DLC came out, and I'm like, first of all, I haven't played in 2 years, so I'm going to be absolute ass at this game, which is already a really fucking hard game.
Yeah.
And DLC in these games is always
really hard.
Especially hard, because then they assume that you've already played the game, so it's not, intro level stuff. But it's like, well, I haven't played this game in 2 years. But it's like, I don't want to start it, play it for 5 days, and then leave for 2 weeks, come back, and then be an idiot again. So I'm just waiting. But in the meantime, since playing like Stellar Blade and Hellblade, they dropped, which we'll talk about later at the Summer Games Fest, they dropped the Alan Wake 2 DLC, like Shadow dropped it, like same day. So I played through that. And that definitely is something that, I don't know if anybody here hasn't played Alan Wake 2 or played the first one or whatever, but Alan Wake 2 is actually, of all the really good games that came out last year, that was my favorite game last year, actually. And the DLC was really fun. And it was essentially, what is the show called? Twilight Zone, right? So it's basically like the Twilight Zone, where it's, kind of weird, spooky things happening, like, hey, what if, kind of weird what if scenarios, right? Like, that's, I think, the whole kind of, to be honest, I've never watched Twilight Zone, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But it's got the character Warland Dorr, who's from the main game. He's played by the guy who does Martian Manhunter and Supergirl. I don't know that actor's name, but he's awesome. And I won't spoil anything, but it's basically like 3 different episodes. They're not really connected to the main
like side
story. They're just like they're like episodes of a TV show. They're like, hey, what if a super fan needed to go save like the writer that she's like obsessed with, And it's like, okay, well, that is a character from the main game. I can't remember her name, but she's the like waitress at the coffee shop, and then she's trying to save Alan Wake, who she just calls like the writer, and it's just like an episode where you're running around as her. Everything is like super silly, like almost like in her own delusion, where she's like at the very beginning she's walking around like in the cafeteria, but the diner, and like giving people their coffee, and it's like, oh my god, I heard that your blog won best blog on earth. And she's like, they're like, how do you do it? She's like, oh, I'm just so talented, more talented than most. It's like all like really stupid delusional nonsense, and like the sky is like pink and whatever. God. And then you're running around with like a fully automatic shotgun, just like blasting the shit out of like monsters. So it's like 3 different crazy takes, with like some existing characters from the game in Alan Wake, and also some existing characters from like the Remedy universe, which is like the developer. They have a couple other games, so they do have some weird kinds of connections to other games in this. But it was a lot of fun. It's like each one was like only an hour, so it's like literally like almost an episode of television. But they were super fun. So nice. A nice little kind of surprise drop of that, and then there's still some other DLC that's supposed to come later on. That's I think like maybe a bigger one too. But that was super cool. And then I went back to God of War Ragnarok Valhalla and did that DLC, which was free, and I hadn't played that, and I was like, maybe I'll check that out at some point. And that's a roguelike, basically like an epilogue to the God of War Ragnarok game, which was also super fun. Cool. So nothing crazy on that one, just like a nice like kind of wrap up, I think, of that story and that character. And after, like, I really liked that game when it came out. I don't remember when that even was, maybe also 2022. But it was nice also to go back to that and just feel like, okay, like some good closure. Yeah. And then I don't know what they do with that series now moving forward, but it felt like a good kind of like wrapping things up. Yeah, super fun. Cool. Yeah. Now I'm just sort of waiting to get to play the Elden Ring DLC and just playing random shit. I'm playing Yakuza 3 again now, because at some point I'd like to catch up on the Yakuza series if I have 200 hours sitting in a drawer somewhere I can pull out and go through 10 different games. But so it's like a random wrap-up time for me still at the moment.
And what's the one that we just started playing? I forgot the name of it.
Still Wakes the Deep.
Still Wakes the Deep.
Do you want to try your best Scottish accent?
I wrote down...
Still Wakes the Deep.
Still in the Deep.
Still in the Deep.
I was like, it's got still and deep in the name.
It's got still and deep in it, yeah.
Still deep.
Still deep. Deeper still.
No, I'm definitely not going to try a Scottish accent.
Give me your best one.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, you were thinking about it. I could see you thinking about it.
No, okay. But, yeah, so it's like game where it's set in like the 1970s, like 1975 or something like that.
Yep.
On an oil rig, and there is just like a guy that you wake up in like first person and you're playing as him, and then you're just like walking around in the ship, and then some crazy shit goes down and you have to basically like get away from monstery type things, and you're like running around trying to figure out what's going on. It's been very interesting. It seems like it's not going to be a very long game, but
I don't think so.
It's like kind of creepy, but it's not like so scary. I originally thought, like, I remember at one point I was like, ooh, like when we kind of first saw one of the monsters, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And then when we like actually saw it and like got found for the first time and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, it's not so bad. I thought it was gonna be way scarier.
Yeah.
But still creepy. Still had to watch an episode of Friends after, but not so terrifying.
How are you enjoying it so far?
Good. I have not been having my like motion sickness thing, which is cool. Because
Nice.
I remember, what was that game where we were in space? No, we were the detective.
What the fuck was that game? It was like a cyberpunk game. It had Rutger Hauer in it.
Yeah. Anyways,
that
when
was
you
a
were
good
doing
game,
that game and it was in first person, I don't know what was wrong, but I seriously felt so sick when you were playing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's by God.
Here, I'll look it up.
Oh, what was that game called? It had Rutger Hauer. It was a cyberpunk game. It was made by Blooper Team. Bloober Team, the people who also did Blair Witch and Bloober Team.
I wrote Vloober, but hopefully
It's
they
definitely
have
not Vloober.
Observer.
Because we also played Observation.
Yeah, I know, that's why, yeah. No, but I think that one that was the two ones that I got really sick during.
That was the one where you're like
Observation
a camera with like this woman in space.
Right,
that game
but
was
when
fucked.
we were in space
awesome.
and it was all like, I think I got really sick during that too.
Shout out to Observation.
Yeah.
That was a cool game.
Those two games were cool, but yeah, I could only do like a little bit at a time because I felt so sick. So I thought I was going to feel sick during this one, but so far I've been perfectly fine.
It might also be like the nature of watching than playing.
Right.
Because I think
but I mean, I'm not playing this one.
Yeah. But I mean, like that probably makes it worse. Like if you were playing it, you might not feel as much because then you have the control. But when you're watching it, it might be a little trippier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also enjoying this one. I think it's
very interesting.
It's very interesting. I also expect it's not going to be very long. I think like for me, it's somewhere like it's a walk. I feel like I hate this. I kind of hate this term because it sounds like a pejorative, like a walking simulator. Like that's like a type of game kind of thing, but people call them that. Like Gone Home, we played that one, or like what was like remember the last of Edith Finch or whatever that game was called. What Remains of Edith Finch? Thank you. Like that's like a walking simulator, people call it, but it's like it sounds like
doing.
It sounds like an insult to a game to call it that. But it's kind of like that. But then it is a little bit of a horror game.
There's not like a lot
but
of
it's not
puzzles or anything.
No, exactly.
But like are times you have to like sneak around.
Or like
and
climbing up and down different areas, or jumping across
and you
something.
Have to hold.
Yeah, exactly. But I think like for me, maybe like I could sometimes use more horror-y stuff, but that's because sometimes like I want to feel a little bit more scared. And there's some moments where it's like, okay, like there were some like that first one where you were like, oh no.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, that was actually like pretty scary at that point. And then some of the other ones have not been so bad so far.
That we just got attacked by, the monster we just got, that was
Oh yeah, that one was pretty fucked up. Yeah. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how it'll progress as well, because it seems
could
like
only probably get more scary.
I assume so, because it seems like we've reached a point now where it's like, okay,
we're officially fucked.
Something has just happened where it's like, okay, so now what?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see
now what?
Yeah, exactly. So what happens?
Yeah.
But definitely cool, and I'd heard some good things about it, and I think that's also like, I feel like I'm such a mark for like Game Pass and like these subscription things now. Because as much as like I do love like I buy games. I like to own things. Like if a game I'm super excited about comes out, I'm gonna buy it. But I do love like
the availability.
The availability of like something that I'm like, I don't know, would I buy it? Like I'm busy. I have a lot of games I'm playing. There's a lot of things going on. So would I actually like sit down, pay money for this, and play it? Like maybe not. But if it's on there and we're just like sitting at home on a Saturday night and we're like, well, I don't know, what should we do? Like maybe there's something to play, and it's like, oh, what about this one? Let's just try this, boot it up, play it for a couple hours. And then, probably finish it in, I don't know, like a couple more hours, I'm sure. And it's like, oh, fuck yeah. I'm glad we got to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I love these. Like, it's so convenient, to be honest. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how that progresses.
Yeah, me too.
Because that should be cool. But it's always, I think we talked about this last time when we were going before going to the States. Going on a trip always means finding portable games.
Well, especially for you.
Well,
I usually don't.
Well, for sure. I guess so. But now that you're a gamer podcaster, you gotta keep up on the market.
I think it's also the fact that going home to the U.S., it's like it is a long day, but really like it's not so long. Like flight wise and stuff, it's not like incredibly long to me. Whereas like this going to Thailand, it's like I'm gonna need some fucking shit to do because.
Granted, we're also gonna be going overnight, so I'm probably gonna want to sleep most of it, to be honest.
Right, but like I guess but then like there's gonna be other flights when we're there, and like
exactly.
if it's gonna be raining, then I'm definitely gonna want to have something with me. Like so, I was just looking today at some games. So I downloaded one called Coloro.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this I just basically looked up like cozy platformers because basically what I want out of a game is I love a platformer because I don't like having to worry about camera and possible weapons or whatever. Like I just like being able to just do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I I like, what's it called? Like a fixed camera or like above.
Like a big isometric camera?
Isometric. Like, Ceresa. It's like...
Yeah, I'd say it's probably like an
an
isometric camera.
kind of thing, yeah.
Or like a Hades.
Yeah, so that I'm okay with too. It's like, I just don't particularly like controlling the camera myself.
Yeah.
And then one thing that I really enjoy in games, which I've found is like in my own games, is like the art is like makes me want to play it. Like obviously the story is very interesting too. Like I've found I don't really like a Stardew Valley or like these kind of ones that are like, oh, you just go harvest and just continue. I need like a storyline too.
Yeah, and I know I say this every single time you bring this exact opinion up, but I just always find it so surprising with you being like, I feel like you're such a like liking to mark things off kind of like dewy type of person that you would enjoy these types of like, ooh, I gotta go do my crops and then do this thing and then
Why
do this
would
thing.
I want to do that when I literally do that all
I guess,
day?
but I just feel like
That's
sometimes
all
like,
I do
but
at
doing
work,
it
and
in
that's all I do at home.
Yeah, but it's like when you do that in like a gamified way, then it kind of makes it feel like you get like that satisfaction out of it, but it makes it almost easier. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to actually go through and get a lot of things done in real life, but then when you do it in a game and it's like quite simple to do, sometimes it feels satisfying. Because even I get that sometimes. Like playing in Animal Crossing.
I cross so much shit off my to-do list every single day.
So I never do.
Don't want. Yeah, well, that seems like a you.
I get everything to 50%.
Yeah, I cross so much shit off and plan so much and do so much of like checking things off of a list all day that I'm like, if I have to do that in a game too, ugh.
Yeah, hashtag girl boss.
Yeah.
Yuck.
So I found this one called Coloro. I basically went on Reddit and was like, it was like our girl gamers or whatever.
Nice.
And then
hashtag girl gamer.
Cozy platformers. And I found like everyone on the list. I was like, that looks cute, that looks cute, that looks cute. Because I want good art, I want platformer, and I want some sort of story.
And you're a pixel art hater.
So, yeah, kind of. So the Coloro one, I don't really know the story, but it just looks really cute, and it was $7.50, and it came on this list of people being like, these are good games, so I wasn't worried that it was just a shitty game that was $7.50 that I happened to find garbage. Or whatever. Yeah, so it looks really cute, so I'll report back, and then also there's a two-player like version that you can play too. So I was like, nice. If I like it, we could also do that.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at, because I still have Ceresa, so I'm like, maybe I'll finish that before I do any other ones. But if we're there and I've finished Ceresa, then I'm also looking at Unpacking, which you suggested, which is like basically a little gamified, like cute unpacking game where where there's like a storyline involved with like, it seems like when you unpack an item and find where it's supposed to go, then you like unlock a piece of the story or something, which looked really cute. There's also one called Planet Alpha that came like recommended by them, by this like group, and looks really cute, or really not cute. It looks very like there's definitely a story there, and it seems like something to do with planet, and like somebody lands there and you have to like do whatever, but cool graphics again. And so I downloaded the demo of that to see if I like it.
Nice
And
when you can like
then-
actually try something and
Yeah,
like, play the
exactly,
demo. 'Cause
yeah.
there's definitely some times where I can make or break something, right?
Right.
It's like, I didn't know about this, I'll try it and I really like it, or I tried it and
And definitely don't
definitely
want-
not for me.
Yeah.
But it's nice I got to check that out.
And then there's a last one called Gris. That
Yeah.
seems
That one
like
I've heard
you have said something
very good
about
things.
it, and this list, both lists that I found, was like the top one. So
Nice.
so I'm interested in that too. So we'll just kind of see what happens.
Yeah. I feel like the thing about the Switch that it's getting to its like closer to the end of its life cycle for sure. 7+ years in, it's at this point I feel like there's a lot of stuff on there that either like came out on the Switch or came out somewhere else and has been ported to the Switch now. And a lot of shit that you can get on like really good sales too, to be honest.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I've picked up on the Switch because it's at this point like my go-to, obviously travel console, because what else am I gonna do for my Xbox? But like I don't use a Steam Deck or I'm not playing on a laptop or whatever. So it's like I play a lot of shit when we're on the go, and it's also then the perfect place to play a lot of these like smaller like indie games.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm gonna play on the trip yet. I mean,
you have like any Ace Attorneys or something?
I do still have Ace Attorney. That's just kind of like a good background thing that I go back to every now and then. But it's like I'm trying to think like if there's something kind of like bigger that I could kind of go into.
Did you like any of those games that I found for you that I was showing you?
I don't remember. I have to look at the list again.
Okay.
But I think I might try to finish Metroid Prime Remastered. Because, we'll talk a little bit later about the kind of summer game stuff. There's a new Metroid Prime that's coming at some point next year. Who knows? They've been developing that game for like, it feels like a lifetime. But they remastered the first one, and I played it for a while, and then I kind of like fell off of it. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can go back and actually finish this fucking game. And then otherwise, I think there's a game called like 1000X Resist. That's like a crazy, trippy story game that came out earlier this year that I heard really good things about.
Yeah.
I still have like Danganronpa, which is
yeah.
kind of like a visual novel, honestly, like Ace Attorney-esque whatever thing, but with like crazy anime shit. It's literally it's that game that you mentioned. You're like, this looks like something you would play.
Yeah, and you were like, I can see by the drawing style that it's Danganronpa that did it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the game by that development studio, and I've heard it's really good. So that I might check out as well.
It was literally like these teens. It's like, be a teenager in high school and like make friends and do that, and I was like, this is fucking Mac to a T.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, and then we have to defend the school.
Yeah.
Somebody's been murdered or whatever.
It's like, why are the teenagers always in charge? We're the fucking teachers when this shit is happening.
Honestly, I also like, I don't know if you've done much like visual novel game. I mean, I know you used to play like Ace Attorney like a long time ago, right? But I feel like that one might even be one that you would enjoy, Danganronpa. It's like the plot is. So it's a visual novel, which are like gameplay pretty simple. It's mostly story, right? It's almost like reading. Yeah, I mean, you do some gameplay and shit.
No spoilies.
I'm not gonna spoil anything. I've not even played it.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I'm going to play it, but I at least know like the premise.
Ah.
And it's like a bunch of students are in a school, and then someone gets murdered, and then
it's up to the students to solve it. It's like,
no,
why?
but like literally, so
why?
But it's like a game.
Where are the police?
It's like a game. Like they're put in some game by some like kind of crazy
like psycho person,
some like kind of mad person or something.
Okay.
I think. And the plot is like, okay, then they need to decide. I don't know what
who's done it.
Who's done? I don't know what the stakes are. Like if they get it wrong or that person. I don't know.
Die or
I don't know
something?
what the stakes are. I'm sure they're whatever ridiculous.
Okay.
But that's the plot. And I've heard it's really good, and there's 3 of them.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, so I want to finally try it.
If you try it and you think I might like it,
and they go on sale like constantly. So
Okay.
I think it was like 1, 2, and 3 were each like 70 krona or something.
Right.
It's
Okay.
like okay.
Well,
So-
maybe I'd try the first one before I.
Yeah, exactly.
Get into
I'll
it.
only have the first, but I'm
Okay.
going to finally try that, I think, maybe, but we'll see. I got to figure some shit out because there is a lot of stuff that's coming, it seems like, later this year for the Switch. For right now, I was like, I don't really know what to get into yet. I mean, at some point when you finish Cereza, I'll finally play that.
Yeah.
But.
I will say we do have 2 new games coming in the mail from Gundam.dk that we are going to be occupied with.
Are they on their way?
They are on their way. We bought 2 Tamagotchis.
Hell yeah.
So we will be leaving our kitty at home with our friends, and we will be adopting 2 new. Are you gonna do like the little duck one? Are you gonna do? Like,
I honestly don't remember. I think I might do the one with the little like ears. It has a little hat on.
Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna do the one with like the little antennas.
But it's
the
been
kind
so
of
long
skinnier
since
one,
I've
yours
seen him.
is like a little chonkier.
I think he's
And
like a
then there's,
chonk, yeah.
And then there's like the duck one. There's like the 3.
Yeah. But it's been so long, I don't even remember. So I'm also, I feel like I'm probably gonna kill it. Like, can you kill a Tamagotchi like without if you don't feed it? It's been so long.
I don't know. I just remember there's a lot of.
I feel like I'm definitely gonna forget to feed him.
No, because you can put it on your app. And you can check it.
Yeah, perfect. So I have one pet.
Yeah.
To remind me to feed my other pet.
It's like the Finch app. I think we've talked about it in the past, but it's like a little to-do list kind of app that we like to use to make sure we keep up on our habits.
Yeah, because...
It's like a habit tracker kind of thing.
A habit tracker that is essentially a bird, or in the app as it's self-proclaimed, a burb that you need to take care of.
It's supposed to be a finch, but it's definitely a penguin.
It 100% looks like a penguin, even though it says it's a finch. But
it should be called like pengu or something.
Absolutely looks like a penguin.
Or penguin.
Yeah, and also like I think I made mine look more like a penguin by giving him kind of like some black feathers or whatever in certain spots. But it's 100% a penguin. Yeah. Because it's too fat. Like, have you ever seen a finch that fat? Like, I don't think so.
His arms, his little wings are so teeny.
Yeah, there's no way
that
it could fly. Yeah. Absolutely not. It's got to be a penguin.
Yeah.
But I am excited to see a Tamagotchi and actually play with that for the first time in a long time.
I'm so excited.
Plus, shout out.
They're like Gen 1 or Gen 2.
Yeah, super old ones. But also, shout out to GundamStore.dk. That's a great
love them.
Great shop for Gundams that I've bought from here in Copenhagen.
Gundams and Tamagotchis.
They're not based in Copenhagen, but
no, but in Denmark. But they're
maybe
like
we can get sponsored.
Yes.
If you're listening to this, which I know you're not, reach out,
please. We'll send him a link.
Let me get some free Gundam.
Oh my god!
But for a promotion, it's not free. You
haven't even built either of the ones.
It's a partnership. So. I've built one. I need to build the other one. I bought the one. I built the one that I bought from him. I haven't built the one that I brought from Japan. It's been a year and a half.
Either of the ones.
It's too intimidating.
Two you bought in Japan.
No, I bought one in Japan, and then I bought one here, and I built it.
Oh, and then Jamie got one.
Right. And then I built the one that Jamie got me.
Yeah.
But the one that I bought in Japan, I still haven't built yet. It's like so intimidating. It's got 5,000 pieces.
Don't buy it.
No, because it's amazing. I just need to actually. Whatever. I need like a weekend where you can go fuck off somewhere.
Deal. I'll go visit Mary or something.
I need a weekend where I can just like
zone out.
Or just like a day where like if you're off doing something, and I will literally just be like, Saturday I have nothing. I'm just going to sit by myself all day at the table.
Okay.
Because that's what I did last time, and it was quite therapeutic. It's like Saturday and Sunday I built it, but it literally took me like 8 hours each day. It was like clocking in for a shift. It was ridiculous. But it was a great time.
Liked it.
Oh, it was so fun. It was so relaxing. I was like listening to music and vibing.
Do you want to talk about not E3, or do you want to talk about our shows that we've been watching?
Let's talk about some shows. Let's talk about, because we're kind of chatting about things we've been up to. Let's talk about some shows.
Okay.
Because then I want to spend some time. We in the last month, we had the whole summer game shit going on, aka Key 3 or not E3 or whatever these days. But yeah, I want to talk about some of the things I've been watching, because I feel like we've been catching up on some actually good TV lately, and kind of preparing for some new shit coming out.
Yeah. I will say, I do want to kind of get into Sweet Tooth a little bit, so I will say spoiler warning, because I kind of want to get into it a little bit, because we finished the 3rd season of Sweet Tooth.
If you don't know what Sweet Tooth is, it's a Netflix original show based on some graphic novel, apparently, actually, or at least some adaptation of it. I don't know how accurate it is to the original content, whatever, but it's about a world where...
Trigger warning.
Yes.
After COVID.
Yeah, it's about a world where an infection gets spread like around and starts to basically kill off
anybody that's human.
Anybody who gets it, pretty much. That's a human.
Yeah.
And we say that is a human because in this world, there's also...
At the exact same time.
There also start being what they call hybrids, where the weird thing, I feel like that's super interesting, is that it's like... They start being born.
Right. So any baby that's born is a hybrid. There's no more human babies being born.
Basically it's after like a certain point, there was like a certain point where this infection and this thing, like it happened, right? Yeah. And then every moment after that, it's like any baby born is now an animal hybrid.
But the thing is babies can be born, but anything that's born it can be anything from a boy who has these cute little deer ears and deer antlers, but he's like a boy.
Yeah, looks totally like a normal boy.
All the way down to effectively a massive gopher child. Who
named Bobby.
Yeah, who like literally can't even talk. And like most of the... And then there's like everything in between. So then there's like the like size and shape of a child, but it looks like fully elephant.
Yeah.
But he like stands on his hind legs and stuff.
And then there's like a skunk boy who has a big skunk
or like
tail.
a monkey girl who like has some hair on her face and stuff. So like
there's a kid with bat wings, right? He's a bat.
Yeah.
It's kind
but
of
like anyways, so all of this is not necessarily spoilers yet, but
Context.
now spoilers.
But we did finish it, so we are. Yeah. If you haven't watched it, before we spoil anything, if you haven't watched it, definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, very very good.
Yeah, it was quite cool, and it's not that long either. No. But yeah, what did you think of the kind of wrap up?
I was like, I don't know. I feel like it got a little otherworld, like a little. It was so sciencey kind of the whole time.
Sciencey?
Well,
hybrid monkey children?
I know, but like it was because like they were testing or like whatever, like the mom was like doing in labs and stuff.
Fair.
And then all of a sudden it's like, it's magic.
Magic
and I was
tree.
Like, what?
Or whatever, yeah.
That part just kind of was like, I don't know. To me, that part, I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just underwhelmed with the ending.
Yeah. I think so as well. I think like for me, we talked about this a little bit before. I feel like when that show first came out, because it's been some time now since the first season. When that show first came out, I remember like hearing people talking about it and whatever, and one of these things being like, oh, it's almost like a Last of Us.
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
It is a young kid who's almost like, light spoilers for The Last of Us, has like a special character about them, right? Like Ellie is immune. This kid is a hybrid, and he also is like immune from the sickness,
right?
Or the sick. So it's like there's, kind of, and then he's being like taken around by some kind of like big gruff guy who's like, "Oh, the world fucking sucks," but like whatever. I guess I'll help you,
but
kid.
But also, I'm super nice.
Yeah, he's like, I guess I'll help you, and then you kind of, then the guy kind of
like
softens over time. You know what I mean? It's like super similar.
Yeah.
But then in that time, then of course now there's actually a Last of Us show.
Right.
And then I feel like the first season was so good and so new and interesting. The second season I feel like I enjoyed enough, but I feel like it spent so much time like stuck in that middle of like, okay, they were stuck in that camp.
Right.
And like the whole season almost was like, Sweet Tooth and the kids like stuck in that camp, and how do they save them and whatever. And I was like, okay. And then this third season was like, okay, all of the rest of the stuff, we're going to Alaska, whatever, all this stuff's got to happen, and then we like figuring out all of these like twists and turns and realizations and whatever, like with the doctor, like now he shows up and he's with them, and then he's like, oh, now I'm kind of bad, but then he's like, actually now I'm good at the end, and then all of a sudden then it goes from like, oh, they're gonna go find the mom, and they kind of find her, but then it's like, okay, then all of a sudden you have like the caribou man, and then the magic tree, and then it's like it just like kind of got crazy.
Yeah, my
so
thing
quickly,
with the mom was like she was like searching for a cure and stuff, so I thought that would like at least come to some sort of fruition, or like it would be about more sciencey stuff. So I just didn't expect it to be like, oh, it's like this magical tree and the sap and the I don't know. It just kind of went a little off the rails for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still a good show. Like, I still enjoyed it, and I'm still like, I would still suggest it to people. It just didn't end the way I would have liked.
Yeah, I feel you. I think it. I will say that point I would slightly disagree with, at least for me. Like, I think that there was some chunk in there with like how certain things kind of wrapped up and figured out that I was like, kind of like went off the rails a little bit. But I think that the ending actually though was very nice. Like, I think like after the shit happened, where like all the stuff in that cave, right? Where it's like, okay,
no, that's what I mean. The resolution of the main story, but then the ending
epilogue
was amazing. The epilogue was amazing.
But like the Caribou Man thing was kind of like weird and kind of also unexplained a little bit.
Totally left us in the
which is like, okay, so why was he a caribou baby?
Right.
Why was he born like that? I don't really understand what happened there.
Yeah.
And then there was like the story of his mom with like on the horn. There's like a bunch of stuff that they kind of started to go into with like this sort of interesting like mythological, and like then starting to bring in where I felt like it could be interesting. Where it was like sort of like Native American like cultural lore stuff happening with like, oh, his mom was like seemingly of the Native American population in Alaska,
right?
And like but then it was like the colonizers were there, and that's where like then it became that was the guy who was studying, and Simek had the baby, and then it was like crazy shit going on. That was like interesting, but then it didn't feel like they dove into that. Then it just kind of was like, oh, but it's like a magical tree. That's like the tree is like kind of some crazy being, and then he tried to chop the tree down.
Right.
And then that
is what the sap
made the
was.
sap, which made everybody sick.
Right.
But not even just like that spread around. It was
Also,
like the sap instantly
yes, that's
connected
the part,
to all
so
humans.
That's the part
It was
that bugged
really
me.
like
that's
weird.
That's the part that bugged me too.
Yeah.
Was like, because if it was just like, yeah, I think that's what it was. I forgot exactly what it was that bothered me so much, but I think that's what it was that when she pulled the axe out and it started leaking, everyone got instantly sick. Not in the cave, everywhere.
Yeah, like around Earth.
And I was like, and then when they plugged it up or whatever, or he burns it or whatever, then I was like, and then everyone's fine. It's like, how?
Yeah.
Because like it made sense that like the sap was leaking into the water, which was then getting into like whatever.
Yeah, like that's more of a
enough.
like logical explanation. Like, okay,
Right.
this tree has some property,
Right.
and maybe people might like consider it deified or like a godlike tree because of its like
yes.
massive
And it was
antlers.
literally horns,
It's crazy,
yeah.
but like the fact that it was actually like, oh no, but it actually is kind of a magical tree where it's
Right.
like as soon as the stuff started leaking out of it, it was like, oh, humans
Everywhere
everywhere
start
in
dying.
the cave and off screen and
Yes.
whatever all like started
Yes.
getting sick and dying. And it's
Yes.
like, oh, how is this even connected to that person who's
Exactly.
in Australia right now,
Exactly.
as opposed to the people who are directly next to it,
Right.
and would
That
be
would've
like
made sense.
breathing in
Yeah,
fumes
that
or
would have
something.
made sense.
So I thought that was I agree. That was a little bit like woo woo,
Yeah.
kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
But then the epilogue I thought
Ugh.
was so nice, like finding out that the narrator, which I did kind of call in my head, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be him.
Yeah.
The narrator was Gus, the main character, narrating the story back with
To
like
all the babies.
yeah, with like a deeper voice, like older,
Yeah.
like an old man kind of like telling the story of that. And the fact that they like, when he was telling the story to Big Man, and he's
Yeah.
like, oh, like what happened to the Big Man? Like, did he make it? And then we see them then at the camp together, like that
No,
he did
first
make it.
we see them not together.
Yeah, true.
He's like telling the story about Big Man, and I was like, oh my god, he's about to die. And then he comes out. I was like, yes.
Yeah. So I think it ended really, really well. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. There was like some of the lore and the mythology of it
Yeah,
was a
got
little, little much.
But
I think for a little while.
But yeah.
But yeah, still nice, still worth a watch.
Yeah.
And honestly, like some of these shows, it's like, I mean, at least at our pace, honestly, it ain't that, difficult to burn through some of these shows.
yeah.
So.
And then we also, in preparation for the new season of The Boys, we actually I didn't even know Gen V existed, but Mac knew, but I guess we just didn't watch it yet. So in preparation for the new season of The Boys, we also watched Gen V, which I thought was really good.
Yeah,
I really
agree.
enjoyed it.
I think this is like, for me, Amazon Prime is like the forgotten child of our subscription services. One, because well, to be honest, we don't pay for it. It's just like your mom's Amazon Prime account that we're logged on to. And so we never go to it. So it's we only go on it if it's like there's actively something specifically to watch.
Right.
It's like, oh, the new season of The Boys, we're going to go watch that. Or, oh, well, Rings of Power, we're going to go watch that. But it's like Gen V, it's like, oh yeah, cool, there's a spin-off of, The Boys coming. And maybe we'll watch that at some point. But then it just kind of totally fell off my radar. But I always heard it was good.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad then, of course, now season 4 of The Boys coming out was like, okay, let's watch this so we don't miss
anything.
callbacks or context or whatever.
Which so far hasn't been a huge thing. It's just been more Easter eggy kind of things.
Yeah, exactly. Little Easter eggs.
But no, I really enjoyed it, and not to spoil, it won't spoil anything, but it is just as violently gratuitous as The Boys. So if you don't think you can handle The Boys as far as every heads, people, everything exploding, guts everywhere,
everybody
all blood,
in
it's
this
the exact
universe
same.
is like a blood balloon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They
just
blow
waiting
up
to
someone's
explode.
head or they shoot somebody and it's just
Always.
waterfall
Chunks.
of blood and
Yeah.
chunks. It's completely ridiculous.
So,
but it's stylistic almost to it's the
totally.
brand of
Yeah,
this
yeah,
of this
yeah,
series now,
yeah. But I had a friend at work and she was like, oh, I was thinking about maybe watching Gen V, and I was like, oh, it's the exact same. And she was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
so I was like,
it's
don't
exactly
watch
the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one scene in particular where some piece of a person, let's say, an appendage of a person was blown up or exploded.
Yeah.
And
They showed
not
it
only was it horrible in the moment, but then they showed
4
it
more times?
like 4 more times in like
The
previously
recaps.
on. I'm like, yeah, I remember that. You don't need to show me that every
Yeah.
fucking time.
Yeah.
But very good. I also really liked it. I
Yeah.
think like taking the like fucked up superhero weird world of The Boys and applying it to like
College
dumbass people in college, I thought was pretty funny
Yeah.
as well, actually. And the cast is all really good.
Yeah.
Really good,
Except,
really good characters, like really cool story.
Yeah, the one guy that is in it has sadly passed away because he
Yeah, that's really
died
sad.
in a motorcycle car crash. Or
Yeah.
a motorcycle crash.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Yeah.
I can't remember who his character's name was, but yeah, that was really sad, and also a
Yeah.
bummer because you know, anything like that, it's well, I mean, it's a bummer, of course, for anybody to pass away in general, but also when it's in the middle of a show like that, it's like, okay, then, you know, I guess I wonder what they'll do moving forward. But he
Chance Perdomo?
okay,
Perdomo?
but yeah, he did a really good job in
Yeah,
that.
he was also in the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and he was a really good character in that too. So, yeah, obviously very sad. Just yeah, like you said in general, but like also it's always a bummer when somebody that you expect to be, like, or you already like that character and stuff, and you
Yeah.
expect them to be in your show, and
Yeah.
then they won't be in the next season. So I will be very interested to see how they deal with that. Because like for example,
He was like very
main
person in that. Yeah.
But like for example in Riverdale, Luke Perry passed away, and so they like had him pass away in the show, but then they kept referencing him and stuff, and like
Okay.
he was a dad of Archie, and yeah, that they planned for him to be like the dad in the show,
Yeah.
but then they had to obviously pivot, and I thought they did like a really nice job of both having him leave the show, but also like referencing him and not just being like, okay, that character doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
They would like talk about him a lot and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was very cool.
Like the Black Panther method.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. As opposed to the Fast and Furious method.
Yeah.
Where Paul Walker, when he passed away, I feel like then in that show, it almost like now that's been so long in Fast and Furious since Paul Walker's passed away. I think that was like around Fast and Furious 7. I feel like now it's been.
They referenced him though.
I know, but now it's been like so long that it's almost kind of interesting that he didn't pass away like in universe.
Oh,
He just like drove
that's
off
what
to
I'm
go do his
saying.
own thing.
Yeah, that's what.
But then it's like, it almost becomes sort of a bit odd that
Right.
at that point that the movie, that series,
Like, since
they're just like,
everyone-
oh yeah, he's over at the beach hanging out.
And like
It's like,
everybody comes back from the dead and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
like, why would he not drive
Yeah.
back?
Everybody's coming back from the dead. Everybody's coming back together. Like now
From
we've all got to
Tokyo
unite.
and-
All
yeah.
characters from every offshoot movie.
Except
we're gonna,
him.
We're gonna come together to fight the new bad guy.
Except the main guy.
Except he's over there. He's chilling. Like
Yeah.
we don't want to bother him.
Yeah,
he's,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
having a good time on the beach.
Yeah.
Like let him be.
Yeah.
So it's almost like becomes more weird at
Yeah.
a certain point.
I agree.
Like, well, why
Yeah, it would
would
have made way more sense
why
if he
isn't
died
he
in
here?
the show
Yeah.
or in the movie. Yeah.
Exactly. It's strange. But hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
these are not easy decisions, I guess, to make
Yeah.
when somebody passes away.
But yeah, currently, so we're watching The Boys, and I think we're just gonna wait till we get back to start.
What's it called? Hotga. Does that help you at all?
Hot Guns.
Hotga. Hot girls.
House of Dragons.
House of the Dragon. Oh no,
House
I
of
didn't
the
even.
Dragon.
Oh, I didn't even say it right. That would be hot to d. I was saying like HOTG, House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragons.
House of the Dragons.
Yeah.
Some pretty sweet dragons in that show. Though.
So many good dragons.
But I'm excited
yeah.
to have that come back because I actually really liked that first season.
Yeah.
Especially after how kind of bad and annoying I feel like the end of Game of Thrones was.
Oh yeah.
The first season of House of the Dragon was like, oh shit, we're back.
We back.
We back
Yeah,
actually.
for sure.
So I'm excited to check this out now.
Yeah. So
But
we'll
yeah.
just wait till we get back.
Good
So we'll
TV
probably
going
talk
on at the
about that.
moment.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Severance is coming
Oh
back.
fuck yeah. Rings of Power is also coming
Power
back.
Coming back.
I think they might have learned their lesson last time because last time Rings of Power and House of the Dragon were on at the same time.
That was very dumb.
And I assume probably not very good for them.
Yeah.
Because that first season was like, I think not everybody's favorite.
I will say also
I still liked
up
it,
against
but-
the House of the Dragon.
Yeah, but you would think like, I mean, it's Lord of the Rings, right? Like it's a
I
way
know,
bigger property than
I
Game
know,
of Thrones, probably.
But I
would
think
think.
up against that,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
going to be
it's
really
still rough.
hard.
It's rough.
Even if, because I think maybe if it came out by itself, people would just be like, oh, it's like warming up, it's getting ready kind of thing. But up against all the shit that went on in the first season of House of the Dragon, it couldn't.
Yeah, not enough shit happened in that season.
So we'll see. Next season is a little more entertaining.
Yeah, but there's a lot of good shit on TV right now.
Yeah.
And we still have like fucking infinite list of anime to watch and catch up on that we'll get to eventually.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Summer Game Fest, not E3, all of that shit.
Yeah, whatever the fuck we call it nowadays. I will say a quick prelude to that. I'll never kind of get over being a little bit sad that I never got to go to an E3. Since I was young, I always dreamt of going to E3.
Yeah.
And then it was like, but you couldn't, right? There was no audience attendance at all back in the day. It was like only like a press event. And then eventually they started allowing people in, and then it was like so crazy. Then it kind of already was on the downhill, or the decline, and then it kind of was like, oh, COVID. They're like, but we'll come back. And then they were going to, and then they like canceled it, and then now it's just dead. They officially are dead, and it's so sad now. I'm like, man, I kind of wish I had a chance to go, but oh well.
Yeah.
Now it's been replaced by this kind of like smattering of different things. So it's like Jeff Keighley, who's like an industry. I don't know what you even call him, to be honest, but he's like
the
guy now in the games industry, basically, for these things. He does the Game Awards at the end of the year, but then he does a presentation at Gamescom, and then he's like, let me do another one. So now he does one in the summer called Summer Games Fest, or Game Fest, which I hate, because there's not one game. There's multiple games. Anyways, so there's that, and then Xbox and PlayStation, Nintendo all just do their own separate things now. So now it's just kind of like all spread around. But that being said, this whole random shit today was actually pretty good, I thought. So I had, honestly, like a really good time watching all of these different showcases, some of them more than others. I think like the actual Summer Game Fest that Keighley hosts, I don't really think it was that interesting this year. He came out before and said like, hey, it's a kind of sometimes it can be a tougher year or whatever, like in game development and blah, blah, blah. It's like, so just set your expectations. It's been a little bit less this year. Like, I was like, okay. But, and sometimes that is the case, right?
I know,
sometimes
but I
it's
feel
just
like
not that many.
Want to set up your show like that?
Yeah, but it's like these types of things are such like hype machines.
Right.
So it's like people just build up crazy hype all the time.
Right.
So it's like it has to be difficult because you don't want to have people have too high expectations and come and be like, that was ass.
Yeah.
But then you also like it's somewhat depressing to be like, actually, this one's gonna suck, guys. Right. So don't get too excited.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Like, why would you want to like?
It's
kind
of hard.
Expectations like that.
Yeah, but he was like, it's gonna be just expect like a little bit of a smaller one this year, or a little bit of a slower one this year. I was like, okay. And then he came out, and there was a lot more indie stuff, which like granted there was still a lot of cool stuff there, but there was nothing that like blew me away. That was like, oh my god, holy shit, I can't wait to play that. That looks nuts. There was like, they did drop the Alan Wake DLC, like, hey, dropping tomorrow or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. There's a couple little random things, but nothing like that really blew me away. Then they had, there was a PlayStation one, same thing. It was kind of like, meh, nothing so crazy.
Yeah.
But they did announce an Astrobot game. I don't know if it will have co-op. I don't know if I paid attention to that or if I have heard of that anywhere. But that otherwise would be a really fun platformer if it does have co-op. And if it doesn't, then maybe something you would even still enjoy. It's on PlayStation, but if you remember Astrobot, it was the game that kind of came with the PS5 where you're like playing as like the little white robot guy like inside of the PlayStation. They're making like actually a full, like we're going to make a full ass platformer with like 80 levels and a bunch of worlds. And so far the impressions have been that it's really good.
Okay.
From like the showcase where people were playing it.
Yeah.
And then there was the Xbox showcase, which that one was the one where I was like, okay, I watched that. It was like an hour and a half. If not 2 hours. It was like the Xbox showcase, and then because now they own Activision Blizzard, who makes Call of Duty, they had the Call of Duty thing right afterwards. And that was crazy. That, I think, was honestly one of the best, like, of those showcases that, Xbox has ever had, and I think even that I've seen from, like, any company in, honestly, a long time, because not only were, specifically for me, like, there were a lot of games I was like, okay, I'll fucking play that. I will play that. I will play that. I will play that. But it was like a lot of stuff like from first party, so Xbox finally kind of They've been basically buying a million studios, sometimes closing them. Like they've just been doing all this kind of insane shit for like so long. But then it's just like, yeah, but where are
you doing
where are
with
the
it?
games that you're making? Like you're doing all this stuff, you're buying all these things, you're like constantly doing all this wild business shit, but like there's no games that I'm going to play.
Like what are you producing?
Yeah, it's like when am I going to play some fucking games for me?
Yeah.
And now it was like...
Quit cultivating, start harvesting.
Exactly. Now it was like, boom. It was just like they showed Fable, which looked amazing. I loved those games when I was younger. And they finally like showed like some gameplay. And that, to give you something that will resonate with you, like it's Fable is like an RPG. It's like fantasy world, but it's very much like cheeky British humor. Like it's like taking the piss, like, you know, out of like being a hero. Like they're making it kind of like making fun of it and whatever.
Okay.
And the vibes of the trailers. The first one had the guy from with like the, I don't know his name, but the guy with the glasses and I think the kind of froey hair from the IT crowd.
Oh,
he was in the first trailer.
Dude, his voice is everything. What is his name? I'm gonna look it up.
And then in the second trailer,
I'm just like the designated Googler.
Exactly. And then in the second trailer, I don't know who the guy was, but I think he was another actor from something. He was also super funny. And it's giving like What We Do in the Shadows, kind of like
his name's
humor.
Richard Ayoade?
Richard Ayoade, or maybe?
Ayoade?
Yeah. Okay. But it's giving like What We Do in the Shadows, like this kind of like silly, ridiculous humor. So I'm like, okay, I'm definitely into that.
I would definitely like to check those out.
And then they also showed Perfect Dark, which is a game they've been working on forever, and it seemed like it's had huge development issues. They had to bring in like another studio to develop it with them. But then the result is seeing it is like, oh, this looks fucking awesome.
Oh, okay.
First person like stealth action shooter. It looks like a game that would take the mantle of Deus Ex, which is a cyberpunk era kind of, or cyberpunk style stealth game that I really love, but they kind of put on ice and they haven't made in a long time. So I'm like, okay, if this kind of goes for that, hell yeah. They announced a new Doom, which those new Doom games that they've had, like 2016 and I think 2020, those games were insane. Yeah. And this one is like a prequel, so it's in like almost like medieval. So not only with that game where you're usually like having crazy machine guns and rocket launchers, but he had like a shield with like chainsaw blades on it. And he had like a shotgun where he put a skull into it.
And it like chips it up?
Yes, it like ground the skull and it was shooting skull shards.
It's almost like insane. A wood chipper, like a paintball gun, but with like a wood chipper.
Yes, and it was shooting out skull fragments at the demons. Like these games are super like hyper violent, gory, murdering demons and ripping them apart. Like the whole thing is like rip and tear.
Right.
Until it's done is like the whatever, but it's they're so fucking good. So another one of those.
Nice.
Then there was like a huge surprise game that it was like, I love when games come out of nowhere that's like a brand new IP that I've never heard of, and it's like, that looks awesome. Expedition 33, which is a game that looks really cool. It could be something that you might enjoy watching. It's turn-based combat, so you probably wouldn't enjoy playing it, but it's like, it looked like really cool story. It's like high fantasy world, and it's like, they're like, oh, we have to, every year we have, you know, an expedition gets sent to try to take down the painter, because every year the painter, like this magical, mystical being, paints a number, and that number goes down each year, and at that number, everybody that is that age
dies, like
disappears. And so every year they send an expedition who will next be that number to try and take her out. And so this is like Expedition 33. So it's the number 33, I think, and it's going to go down, and then all these people will die.
Oh shit!
So it's like,
crazy.
that's fucking cool.
That's a really cool like concept or like story.
Right? I watched that, and it had like great music. It had like great voice acting and like characters. It was the voice actor from Final Fantasy 16 who I love, Ben Starr. It was like super great graphics and like fantasy world.
When you start playing that, let me know, because maybe I'll try to see if I am enjoying it, and then if I'm like, it's a bit much, then
and
then like hard to watch, I guess.
Yeah, and it was turn-based combat, but it was like kind of more actiony, where it was like you attack, but then you like can like parry and do stuff on, so it's not just select an attack and they do it. It's like still, you know, engaging in a way. Cool. And then at the end, they, you know, I love when they have like and one more thing, don't worry. They announced a new Gears of War, which is a prequel set before the first game on Emergence Day. So it's called Gears of War E-Day, which is cool because they've never really shown that part of Gears of War before.
Yeah.
They started one already like we're already in the war versus aliens.
Right.
And the cool thing about Gears of War is like it's very unique that the aliens that you're fighting, like they come from the ground, like they came from the ground. Like it didn't come from space. Like they were underground and then they emerged.
Okay.
So they call it E-Day, like Emergence Day.
Right.
And that trailer just like
Wasn't that the one with that was giving you chills?
Exactly. So it's like the first trailer for I think it might have been Gears of War 1 or maybe it was 3, but they played like Mad World in that trailer, and it's like one of the most like iconic. I think it's Gears of War 1 is like one of the most iconic like Xbox trailers of all time, where it's just like going around and like fighting and just like this like seeing the war and how like horrible and fucked up it is trying to fight the locusts they're called, and it's playing like Mad World, and it's like gotta be one of the best. Like, I'm literally getting chills like thinking about it. It's like one of the best fucking gaming trailers. I remember just being like so hyped seeing that. I probably watched that so many times. And then in this trailer, of course, it's got like Marcus Phoenix and Dom, like the two main characters from back then, and it starts like playing a little bit of that musical cue, and then like you see like the floor give out and like kind of show, and it shows the whole city, and then it started playing like the keys, like the piano keys from Mad World, and it's just like, oh my god, it's just like so perfect.
Yeah.
Like it's such a perfect throwback for me. I loved it. I love when like people who make these trailers, like they know how to perfectly evoke like such a specific emotion. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, put this little bit of piano key, just enough.
Yeah.
No lyrics, but just enough to where someone's gonna be like, oh fuck, it's the Mad World song.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so the Xbox one was crazy, and then honestly, like, it went into the whole Black Ops thing afterwards, and I was like, I will play the shit out of this.
Yeah.
I have not bought a Call of Duty in years, but they announced this one will come to Game Pass. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play the shit out of this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll hit my dad up and see now that he's got an
Matt's
Xbox.
dad just got an Xbox, so now I'm just gonna lose him to the gaming.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe I'll play some Black Ops 6 with my dad. That would be fun. And then yeah, that was the Xbox.
I feel like your dad's not gonna be very good. He hasn't played in forever.
He's not played in a while. That's okay. I'll try to carry him. I'll help him out. But yeah, the Xbox one was kick ass. Super super excited. I feel like right before this, I was like, God, my Xbox is like collecting dust. And then I came out of that thing, I was like, yeah, fuck my... I almost said fuck my Xbox.
Yeah.
Not fuck my Xbox, and not... Maybe I might want to fuck my Xbox now that I'm so excited by it. But no, now I'm like fucking excited about my Xbox, I'll say. And then it wrapped up with the Nintendo press conference, which was also like, you know, good, but also... like emblematic, you know. I feel like watching that Nintendo press conference now, like the Nintendo Direct, it was like, okay, I enjoy some of the things that are coming, but it very much feels like, okay, this is a console that has been around for what, almost 8 years now? Over 7 years. And so it's like, okay, they have a couple things that they announced, but otherwise it really feels like, all right, I'm about ready for this to be, you know, kind of done, right? Like, I'm ready to be moving. Like, as much as I love my Wii, or I got my Wii, now I'm like...
Dude, are you having a stroke?
I'm having a stroke. I'm too excited from games conferences. No, I'm excited for, like, the games that they have, and I really love my Switch, but it feels like it's time. You can tell that
they're ready to move to the next console.
Yeah, and honestly, like, so am I.
And they're just, like, waiting it out, kind of, to, like, okay, we're going to give you a few more things, but, like...
Yeah, I feel like it's time, but they did...
Like you were saying, they're waiting to give, like, the best stuff for when the new console comes out.
That's what it feels like. I feel like probably they'll have a new console that comes sometime next year. They basically said that there is a Nintendo Switch successor, like in official tweets and official things saying, hey, we have one. Hey, we are going to be talking about the successor to the Nintendo Switch, but not right now.
Right.
And then they tweeted for this one. They said, hey, we have a Nintendo Direct coming tomorrow. We will not talk about the successor to the Nintendo Switch. Like, they're very, again, setting expectations. Yeah. Because otherwise everyone's going to watch it and then be like, no Switch 2? Fuck you. But they did have a couple things. They announced Metroid Prime 4, or not announced, but they finally showed more of it. It's been ages.
Gave some...
We got some gameplay. It looked badass.
The new Mario Party.
A new Mario
fun.
Party.
There's like some
Super
sort
Mario
of,
Party Jamboree.
yeah, there's like some sort of thing with cars now or something.
Yeah, you could play like in vehicles, and you could go like, you can go up to 36 spaces at once.
I was like,
Jesus.
What? Yeah.
But that looked cool, and I was looking at like a little breakdown of that has 7 maps, which is like the second highest of any Mario Party game, since the first one had 8 apparently.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's cool because the last one only had 4 that we played, and it was like, oh my god, you really did burn through those maps really quick.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll play another Mario Party. We haven't played that in a while.
Love a Mario Party.
Love a Mario Party. And then the big surprise being a new Zelda game.
Where Zelda's the protagonist.
So now finally, all of those like moms who were confused, or everybody who's been confused about the series is like, Legend of Zelda, like, oh, is that Zelda? Like on
no,
the
Mom,
cover.
it's Link!
No, Mom, it's Link, you idiot!
Yeah.
So now
so good.
they can finally be correct that yes, actually, The Legend of Zelda, this one actually is about playing as Zelda.
Yeah.
But that looked really cool.
It's like such a unique art style. It's like so chibi and cute.
It's super cute. It's they look like little dolls.
Yeah.
Which I think the studio that is making this, I'm assuming, is the same ones who they remade Link's Awakening, which was on Game Boy. That was like the first Zelda game I ever played. Did not beat it because I was a stupid little kid and that game was pretty difficult. But they remade that on the Switch and it was really cool. So it's fun to see them use that same kind of like
style,
like really kooky looking kind of cute art style, but in a brand new game. So I'm curious what it'll be like, but it definitely looks like more non-traditional. I think something that's fun to see is like the stuff from Breath of the Wild where it's like, or Tears of the Kingdom especially, where it's like, all right, break the world however you want, do weird stuff. Like you want to get over there, well, in a normal Zelda game it's like, well, you can get there specifically by using this item and going over here and going through this area. But Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are like, well, you can climb up that, or you can build some bullshit machine that can climb you up the wall or climb a tree or whatever. And this looks like, because you can use this little copy ability, where it's like, oh, you can copy, they're like, copy an old mattress or a table and like place a bunch of them on top of each other.
And then make stairs.
Yeah, and then like climb up and then jump on a trampoline and get up there. So I'm like, okay, them bringing this new weird break the game puzzle style into the old top-down traditional style of Zelda, I was like, that I'm really excited to see. Yeah. So that looks super cool. That comes out in September, which is crazy. I do like Nintendo is weird in that they, what I hear or what I have heard a lot of times is that they make stuff and they sometimes just kind of sit on it until they're ready to put it out in a specific window.
Right.
Compared to a lot of other developers where, like, talk about like Perfect Dark, where they announce that, like, hey, we're building a brand new studio and we're making a huge, massive, amazing game, and it's going to come out in 10 years. Yeah. And Zelda or Nintendo's like, hey, it's June. Yeah. Here's a game. It's done. It comes out in 3 months. It's like, oh, fucking awesome. Great. Yeah. That's really exciting. So there is a little bit of stuff, but otherwise, big takeaway for me is I'm still hoping by the end of this year
we can hear something.
Hear something about the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that'll be. So, whew. That was a lot about the Summer Games Fest, not E3. Key 3, whatever people call it these days. But really exciting. I had a really good time. And I think like the year has filled out to where there wasn't that much at the beginning of this year when I looked later on that I was so excited about playing. But now I'm looking ahead and I'm like, okay, actually there's a lot of shit coming out by the end of this year that I'll get to spend time playing. So
yeah.
Should be a good year. Last year was a hard one to beat because last year was pretty kick-ass. But 2024 could be a good year for games. We'll see. Next year, definitely, though, coming out of this, looks stacked for sure. Because there was a lot of good 2025 shit. So we'll see.
That they're already talking about.
Yeah, exactly. That they already started teasing now.
Well, cool. Then I think our next podcast will probably be... I'll kind of assume that we will not be doing one before, like, in between Thailand and Ireland. So possibly could be a recap of like all of our travels.
Maybe end of July, maybe in August.
Yeah, could be. But yeah.
We'll see. Anything else? Any final comments, final thoughts?
I don't think so.
No? Yeah. Anything to say to our listeners? Nice or mean?
Thank you for listening, and yeah, that's it.
Wow, that's...
Well, I don't want to say something mean.
Well, I mean, you didn't have to.
Oh. Well, then thank you for listening.
All right, well, then I guess that's it. Thank you for listening. If you've tuned in all this way, then we appreciate you. And if you continue to tune in, then we appreciate you more. So thank you very much. And yeah, see you around. which I always say, but we don't see you because
Yeah.
it's audio. So
Talk to you next time.
bye.